Hello, and welcome to an informational presentation on how to use KEAP as a supervisor's tool. You've probably heard the name KEAP, the Kentucky Employee Assistance Program, and are aware of how KEAP is a resource for employees. However, you may not be aware of how KEAP can assist a supervisor. That's what we want to take a look at right now. You know, supervisors in state government have to wear many hats these days. That's why it pays to know about all of the resources that are out there to assist supervisors in such a challenging job. Here are some of the responsibilities we have as supervisors in state government: to direct job tasks and specify the expectations, to evaluate performance and provide feedback and resources. Okay, now let's take a look at what is not your responsibility. You are not to be your employee's counselor. However, we do know that in the real world, there will be many employees who experience personal problems, and those problems may show up on the job. So what are some personal problems that might affect an employee? Family problems, grief, mental health concerns such as depression or anxiety. This is just a small list. So how might these problems show up in the workplace? Well, in a variety of ways. Most common are absenteeism, tardiness, and attitude problems, and these show up behaviorally. So what's the bottom line for the employer? Personal problems mean lower productivity and morale, and increased healthcare costs and burden to others. What's the bottom line for the employee? Well, besides the decline in the quality of their life, there's the time, health costs, and then possibly a hit to the reputation. The bottom line is personal problems are costly to the employee experiencing them and costly to the employer. So as a supervisor, you assist the agency and the employee if you help them get help. When you first spot a personal problem, it's okay to begin with an informal yet direct discussion with the employee. Acknowledge areas of concern, clarify expectations, and collaborate on ways to improve. Having a discussion immediately after a performance-related incident helps to keep an issue from snowballing. The point is, there has to be an intervention point. You have to do something. Letting a problem continue unchecked can make you part of the problem. What do you think keeps a supervisor from intervening? It's certainly easier to do these things because you just want the work done, but it's not good for the long run, and it's unfair to other employees and ultimately unfair to the troubled employee. You can't keep letting things build up and then something happens and you're forced to address it with them, or they get a new supervisor and are required to get it together fast, and then they can't. If you enable an employee with a performance problem, a personal problem may grow worse, and it may become more difficult to treat. Refer employees early, before performance problems, personal problems, and your relationship with your employee grow worse. So if you begin to notice signs of a troubled employee and an informal discussion of the job performance issues or behavior problems has not corrected the problem, then there needs to be an intervention point to stop the downhill slide. Hopefully your discussion with your employee about performance issues will lead to self-correction. Often, however, with ongoing personal problems, self-correction will only last a short time, or an employee may be in denial about the seriousness of the issues and not take steps towards correction. For those who do not improve and there's a continued pattern of performance or behavioral difficulties, then a formal supervisory referral as a part of a corrective action interview to KEAP is appropriate. So why a corrective action interview? There are multiple reasons. Okay, let's say your initial conversation with your employee did not lead to self-correction, and you now realize you want to try to put the brakes on this early and not enable and watch things get worse. Here are the steps to intervening or conducting a corrective action interview. We'll take a look at these point by point. Before we move on, it's important to add that if you have an employee that is impaired or exhibiting extreme behavior, do not wait to initiate this corrective action interview process. Consult with chain of command and HR along with the staff at KEAP to review options. If it's an active crisis, skip the consultation and call authorities immediately. Never let anyone drive home impaired. Never send an employee home alone who has made suicidal or homicidal threats. The agency may decide to use agency-directed sick leave or initiate steps adherent to the agency's drug or alcohol testing or workplace violence safety policies. Now, the first 3 steps of the corrective action interview are your preparation steps. So we're going to begin with step 1, observe and document patterns of deteriorating performance. The essential duties, functions, and behavioral expectations of one's position are the legitimate concern of the supervisor as noted in the evaluation process. This includes job performance, time and attendance, conduct and appearance, demeanor and communication. You are not invading your employee's privacy or rights by addressing these issues. It's actually a part of your job description as an evaluating supervisor. In step 2, as a preparation step, you want to be specific about who, what, when, and where, but not why in your documentation. As another step of preparation, before you actually sit down with your employee, okay what you're doing with your chain of command. Next, we encourage you to consult with KEAP. KEAP will guide you through this process considering your specific situation. We will also advise you on documentation, including how to complete the formal written referral, the supervisory referral form. Here's a look at part of KEAP's supervisory referral form. It contains 2 main components. Column 1 allows you to list the job performance or behavior problems, and column 2 gives you another chance to clearly lay out expectations. You don't want your employee to say, "No one ever told me that." This form helps you to have a script for the corrective action interview. It helps the employee to know exactly what the problems are and what you expect from them. It helps the staff at KEAP conduct a more effective assessment. Without it, we only know the employee's side of what's going on. Once the referral form is completed and sent in to KEAP, you're set to meet with the employee and actually conduct the interview. Of course, you want to meet privately, and to begin, remind the employee of the good things they've done. You can include a statement of your support and their value to the agency. The bulk of the meeting includes reviewing the facts that demonstrate a decline of job performance or behavior. Refer to the referral form and back it up with any documentation that you've collected. Next, go over the performance or behavioral expectations listed on column 2 of the KEAP supervisory referral form. Sticking to the referral form helps keep the conversation about job issues or behavior issues and not off into areas that are outside your realm as a supervisor. After you've gone over the expectations, here's where you can bring up KEAP. You can say, "We want to give you every tool possible. Here's a resource you can take advantage of." At this point, you can hand them our fact sheet and give them information about our services. You want to let your employee know that the goal here is for them to have all the tools it takes to be at their best. Now, generally, it's wise to state the consequences of continued poor performance. Here's where you can say something like, "If things don't turn around, here's what we're looking at." Now, this may not feel good, but it's the leverage you have as a supervisor to nudge an employee towards change. It's a good idea to set a timetable for performance reviews. So agree to meet again in whatever time frame is appropriate, and then actually meet. If performance and behavior have improved, even slightly, praise the positive. Hopefully, the interview itself and the steps the employee takes to address concerns will lead to change. If the employee makes a decision to utilize our services, then we will take steps to assess the problem and assist in coming up with resources to address the concerns. Information an employee provides to KEAP about their personal problems is confidential and will not be reported back to management unless the employee provides specific permission to do so. This is important so that the employee feels comfortable they can openly discuss issues in order to best address them. The staff at KEAP may make a referral to a treatment provider, and that is the employee's information. What you as a supervisor are looking for is improvement in job performance and job behavior. If at this point performance and behavior have continued to deteriorate, then you may need to follow through on the consequences that you've previously specified. The important thing to remember is that by referring a troubled employee for assistance, you are not doing something to them, but for them. Now, just for additional information, if you have an employee that you know is experiencing personal problems, but it's not showing up on the job, there is no need to do a corrective action interview. If you choose, you may do an informal, friendly referral, simply reminding the employee of the services of KEAP if they're interested. To wrap up, we want you to know that KEAP is available to you. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about another resource you have as a supervisor. We want you to know that you can call us directly and we'll be happy to consult with you. Thanks again.